Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. It's me, Angie. I've been away for a while. I've been pretty sick. Starting to get better. I did have a COVID scare, but thank God my test results came back negative. So I apologize in advance if you hear me coughing every now and then during this video. But I have so many books that I've been wanting to do book hauls for them. And I just never had the chance to because I've been really sick. And now that I'm feeling better, I figured why not do one gigantic book bundle. And I mean, there is a lot of books here. So let's go ahead and begin. We'll start out with this 4-book series, which is the Maze Runner series. So, ooh, there's some dust coming on here. Hello. But this is book 1, which is the Maze Runner by James Dashner. Sorry. Book 2 is Scorched Trials. Then there's the Kill Order. And then the Death Cure. I have not read these yet, but I have seen the movies, and the movies are great. I really did enjoy them. So when I saw these, and by the way, all these books that you see here are either from garage selling or thrift shopping. So I can't wait to start reading these. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Maze Runner series, it is about a group of boys that get placed in this maze. The main character gets placed in. He doesn't have his memory of anything of how he got there, why was he there, who he is. And while he's there, he bumps into a girl, and he feels like he knows her, but he doesn't understand why. But the whole object of the series is to try to get out of the maze without being killed. It's basically like the government went rogue and they did this whole maze thing, and I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to give any spoilers out. But I highly recommend, if you like action-packed adventures, this is the series to check out. The next book on our book haul is Stephen King's Bag of Bones. On the back of the book it says, A Haunted Love Story. I'll go ahead and read a little bit of the synopsis. Stephen King's most gripping and unforgettable novel, Bag of Bones, is a story of grief and a lost love's enduring bonds, of a new love haunted by the secrets of the past, of an innocent child caught in a terrible crossfire. So, anything that's Stephen King, I tend to gravitate to because I love his writing. I currently have other books of his. I have some of the Dark Tower series. I have If It Bleeds. I've got Dr. Sleep. I've got a Barnes & Noble exclusive collector edition book, which I showed in previous videos, where it's got Carrie, Salem's Lot, and The Shining all bundled up in one. So when I saw this at the thrift store, I was like, I gotta add this to my Stephen King collection. And it was actually in pretty good condition. And it's a hardcover too. Well, that's that awesome book. Now this one, oh, it's got a sale price on it. This one's a children's book called The Skeleton Man. Now the only reason why I got this book was because I used to have it growing up, and I enjoyed it a lot when I was a kid, and I wanted to get it again. I don't really remember what it was about because it's been so long. I just remember that I really enjoyed it. So if you kind of like children books or middle grade and, you know, just little cute little horror, and it's not like scary, but fun, this is a good one to check out. It's very small, as you can see. Oh, my pride and joys. So, when I was a kid, my favorite books to read growing up were the Goosebumps books. I had a ton, I mean a ton, of Goosebumps books. As I got into my preteen years, I became stupid and gave them all away. So I've been trying to recollect them, at least the original Goosebumps books, or the original Goosebumps stories. Whether it's the original book covers or the newer ones, I really don't care. As long as I have, all of them. And there's a total of 62. And I managed to find, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the original Goosebumps books, and 1 Goosebumps Most Wanted book. So I'll go ahead and show you those. This first one that I got is The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. Now this is one of the original covers, and you can tell because the word Goosebumps, it has texture, it bumps out, so that's how you know it's one of the original ones, and I'll show you the compared with the newer ones. This one is called The Abominable Snowman of Pasadena. This is the newer book covers. You can kind of get a difference between the original and the new covers. But it's still the original stories. That's why I said I don't really care if it's the new covers or the original cover. Whatever I can get my hands on, I'm just happy. So those two. There's Say Cheese and Die. There's One Day at Horrorland. There's Night of the Living Dummy 2. Please Don't Feed the Vampire. The Haunted Mask. This book here and the movie was the one that scared me the most as a kid. It terrified me so bad. Which is kind of funny looking back into it. I have no idea why I was so scared of it. I mean, I guess I can kind of understand why, but now, as at my age now, I was like, seriously? Really? But I still enjoy it. And so those are all the original Goosebumps stories. Now, this one here is Goosebumps Most Wanted. And it was a newer series that came out after the original Goosebumps series. And this one is called Frankenstein's Dog. And he really looks creepy. So, again, I read some of these. I haven't read all of them because, like I said, there's 62 books in the series. So, I never got to read the entire series when I was a kid. I was able to read some of them. So, to be able to have these again and be able to read them all would be amazing. Now, this next book, it's Children in the Middle Grade. And I got it because it's a classic story, and that's Mary Poppins. I mean, everybody likes Mary Poppins. I liked Mary Poppins. I liked the first movie. I did enjoy the second movie, even though it didn't really coincide much with the actual Mary Poppins. But I decided to have the book from my collection. So, Mary Poppins. This next book is a Christian book that I've been wanting to get for some time. I've heard a lot of good things about it. And I happened to see it in the thrift store, and I grabbed it as soon as I saw it. And it's called Heaven is for Real. And it's about a true story about this little boy, you see in the cover, that he died, and he actually claims that he saw heaven, and he describes the beauty and what he saw and who he spoke to there, and how he spoke to God, and that heaven really is real. So I can't wait to start reading this. I do have it on my 2021 goal list. What I'm doing is I'm reading a book that starts with each letter of the alphabet. I kind of started out of order. I started with the letter J, and I read, where did you go? Uh-oh. Sorry, guys. Oh. Let me try to here. Okay. So the book is The Moor Hiding. Oh, there it is. Okay. So this is the book that I chose for the letter J, and it's called Jane Anonymous by Laurie Faria Stillars. She is one of my favorite YA authors. I have her Blues for Nightmare series, which is a series I absolutely love and highly recommend. I've also enjoyed her book called Project 17. If you like horror and suspense with like haunted asylums, that's a good pickup. But this book in particular is about a 17-year-old girl named Jane Anonymous that gets kidnapped and held captive for over 7 months. And the book kind of goes back and forth between when she was held captive, what she was doing to survive, up to how she, got out of it. And then it goes to the present time and how she's dealing with all that trauma and emotions. And I really enjoyed it. I was able to put myself in her shoes and understand, her struggle, and maybe want to go into the actual book and try to, comfort her and let her know that it's okay and she'll get through it, and there's people who really do care about her. So I highly recommend this book. Laurie Stellar, she actually just recently released the sequel, which I have in a stack somewhere. So I highly recommend getting that book as well. I would read this one first, obviously, and then read the sequel, which is basically the continuation of how Jane's doing after her kidnapping and being held captive for so long. And she goes through this issue. Everybody's telling her that this boy Mason that she claims she met while being held captive doesn't really exist, but she feels like he did, and she's trying to figure out, where did he go, what happened to him. So this is a good book. I highly recommend. I really did enjoy it. Alrighty. Moving on. So this next book I got is from the Spooksville series by Christopher Pike, and it's called The Secret Path. I don't really know anything about it. I just grabbed it because I'm part of several different book groups, and I kept seeing this author's name like crazy. So when I saw this at the Goodwill, I went ahead and grabbed it just so I can, read it and get to know Christopher Pike's writing. From what I've seen, people compare it a lot to the Goosebumps, to Arlstein. So, we'll find out. Okay, so I can't find it. Now, this book here, it's called Fade. Now, this is the second book in the series. The first book is called Wake, which I have somewhere. I don't know where the heck I put it, but I do have it somewhere. And how do I explain this without giving any spoilers? Basically, it's about a girl named Janie that she can, I guess she can steal people's dreams, and she steals this one particular classmate of hers dream and sees like a murder gonna happen, and she's got to try to figure out who the murderer is before the murder actually happens. I kind of like books like that, and I just realized whoever had this book put the book cover on backwards, so I'll have to fix that later. But this book reminded me a lot of the Blues for Nightmare series, because it is about a girl named Stacy that kind of has some psychic abilities. She gets these nightmares of something bad's going to happen, and then her body will give her signals of the murder. For example, in the first book, she would wet herself, and it led to the person that was kidnapped was being held captive in a porta potty. So, this is a book series I know I'll definitely enjoy. This next book is another Christian book called The Shack. There's a funny story behind this book. My godmother, bless her heart, let her rest in peace, she came across this book. I don't remember exactly how. She really enjoyed it. She gave it to my dad, who read it, and he enjoyed it. And then he passed it to me, and I read it, and I enjoyed it. And then after we both finished reading it, my dad decided to give it away, I believe, or I think he sold it in the garage sale. And I kind of regret him doing that, because this was one of the only things that my godmother has given me. One of the several things she's given me, but it was like one of the last things that she has given me. And after she passed away, you know, I wanted to get this book back, and I happened to be in a Goodwill, just, you know, searching for books. And this was sitting on the shelf, and I had to have it. So I'm so happy I was able to get it. But this is kind of a sad story. It's about a man whose daughter gets kidnapped during a camping trip and ends up being murdered. And the father ends up resenting God. He blames God. He loses his faith. He pushes everyone who loves him away because there's anger and his depression. And he ends up meeting this woman who used to visit him as a little boy, and he kind of doesn't remember, but as he progresses, he remembers. And this woman ends up being a messenger of God, and she helps him regain his strength in God and believe in God and understand what happened, that it was not God's fault. So this was a really good book. I know a lot of people enjoyed it. I highly recommend this book for those who are struggling with faith. If they lost a child and they're struggling with their faith, this is a good book to read, and it'll definitely help you through it. Now, this next book, I would say it's considered middle grade, and it is by James Patterson. It is part of a book series. It's called Treasure Hunters. There's 3 other books to this series. I thought it just looked really cute. There's even some artwork among the book. And basically what it says on the back: but if only Bick, Becky, Tommy, and Storm can find a shipwreck full of gold, some long-lost artifacts, and world-famous paintings, and their missing parents, immediately, if not sooner. So, from what I can gather, it's a group of, like, siblings, 4 of them, that they go on this adventure, because they're to find their missing parents. So it looks really interesting. I really like the cover on it. So yeah, and once I read this, I'll definitely be able to give my review and my thoughts. This next book here is another Christian book, but it's more like a book / journal, called The Love Dare. It was featured in the movie called Fireproof, about a man who was basically, he was kind of losing his faith. He was stressed out with life. His marriage was strained, about to go down in the tubes. And his father gave him this book called The Love Dare and told him to read it every day and to follow the instructions in the book every day to help fix his marriage and strengthen his faith again. And in the end, it worked, and he loved it. And I really enjoyed the movie. My husband enjoyed the movie. We have the Love Dare calendar, actually. So when I saw this book, I had to get it. And that way my husband and I, we can read it together and answer the questions together. It has, you know, like, questions here. Like, it says, what need does your spouse have that you can meet today? Can you run an errand, give a back rub or a foot massage? Is there housework you can help with? Choose a gesture that says, I cherish you, and do it with a smile. Check here when you've completed today's dare. And then on the bottom it says, what did you choose to show that you cherished your mate, and what did you learn from this experience? And I think this is just awesome, because it helps you really realize, you know, what path you're going, and if it's the right path you should be going, and help you make the right choices and go the right path, and, you know, follow God's way. I highly recommend this. I highly recommend you watch the movie. It's phenomenal. And yeah, loved it. This is another Christian book called A Young Woman's Walk with God, Growing More Like Jesus by Elizabeth George. I picked this up because it looked interesting, and I, being a young woman myself, and, I want to learn more about God. I always look to strengthen my faith. I want to make sure I'm, going the right path that God wants me to go. So when I saw this caught my eye. I definitely can't wait to start reading this. This next book, it's another Stephen King's book called Under the Dome. I was so glad to have this book. This book is amazing. It's a little more, as you kind of see in the front, but that's fine. This book had a lot of love. It is a very thick book. It is 1,074 pages long. Well, that's the author's note. Not including the author's note, it's 1,072 pages long. Basically, a way to really describe it is if you've seen the Simpsons movie where they get put in the dome because of Homer being stupid. This is kind of what this book is, except it doesn't have anyone being stupid to be cast in the dome. But, I had to get it because, once again, Stephen King. So this next book here is called So Not Happening by Jenny B. Jones. And I really like the cover. The cover is really cute. It's got a little piggy. Kind of reminds me of Gordy and Babe. And a really cute purse. But basically, this is about a girl named Bella Kirkwood, who, she had it all. Her parents were filthy rich, She had all the best friends. And then one day, something happens with her parents where her dad basically replaces her mom with somebody else and moves her to a whole different town, a whole new school. Everything's different. And she doesn't really like it there, but she knows that God wanted her to be there for some reason. And this book basically goes through her experience there and how she finds out why God put her there. So, being that this is a Christian fiction, and I'm definitely trying to get into more Christian fiction, I decided, why not give it a try? If you're into Christian fiction and coming-of-age stories, I highly recommend this book here. This next book here is book 1 from the Outcast series, and it's called Brother Band Chronicles. It is the companion to the best-selling Ranger's Apprentice, which is funny because later on I actually got a couple of the Ranger's Apprentice's books, so I didn't even notice that until now. But this is written by John Flanagan, and it's definitely a fantasy. As you can see. Oh, that looks really good. I'll read the summary. It says, Hal never knew his father, a Scandian warrior. He died in battle when Hal was a young boy, but his reputation lives on long after death. Hal, unlike his esteemed father, is an outcast in a country that values physical strength over intellect. Hal's ingenuity and the fact that his mother was an Araluan slave only serves to set him apart from the other boys his age. The one thing he has in common with his peers, brother band training, forced to compete in tests of endurance and strength and to learn the skills needed to become a Scandian warrior. Hal discovers that he's not the only outcast in this land of seafaring marauders, and that his battle for acceptance has just begun. In the first chapter of John Flanagan's companion to the blockbuster series, Ranger's Apprentice, a new generation challenges the old, outcasts become legends, and the adventure begins anew. So if you've already read the Ranger's Apprentice series, which these are the books in the back, gorgeous series, by the way. Then this would be the companion to it. I just love that cover. It just looks really good. So I can't wait to enjoy this book. Guys, we're not even halfway through the pile. So this next book is called Breathe, a Ghost Story by Cliff McNish. And the back says, praise for Breathe. This is a well-crafted story that is weightier than a standard chiller, filled with suspense. It will keep readers riveted to the pages. That's literally all it says on the back. It doesn't say, like, what it's about. From when I looked at it, it looks like it's multiple short stories. From what I can tell, I'm not sure if it's one big story. But once I start reading it, I would definitely let you guys know. Now, this next book is called The Tale of Despero. I've seen this like a million times. One of my cousins has the entire series. And I had just always wondered about it. And basically, it's about this little mouse named Despero, who falls in love with a princess named Princess P, and he goes on this journey to try to rescue Princess P. So I figured, you know, it's a cute little story. Why not? The artwork is pretty cute. You can see there. It did win a John Newbery Medal, which is pretty cool. And I kind of really like this cover, the way it looked. So, glad I got it. This next book, I laugh every time I see this book, but it's Tinkerbell, Two Magical Tales. There's The Trouble with Tink and Tink North of Neverland. And I got it because one of my favorite Disney characters is Tinkerbell. And I didn't know until when I had opened the book, but, take the cover off. Beautiful book. But the book cover, let me open this up here, has a hidden poster. How cute is that? Here we go. And put this big back together. So that was kind of cool to see with this book. So I would say this is definitely children's book, middle grade book. But it's Tinkerbell, guys. I mean, come on, look how adorable she is. Look at that birdie. So this book here, I kind of feel stupid though, because I've seen the movie. I didn't know it was based on an actual book. And when I found out that it was, I was like, you know what? I'm putting it on my TBR. I need to get this book. I want this book. I happened to see it at a Goodwill, and that is Ready Player One. I'm really excited to read the book so I can compare it to the movie. I did find out that there was a sequel to this book called Ready Player 2. And I also found out that the sequel to the Ready Player One movie is actually in the works. So I'm so excited for that. I really wish they made that actual video game in real life. It seems pretty fun. And the cover is based on the actual movie where he lives, so that's awesome. Now, this book here is another Christian fiction called The Ark by Boyd Morrison. And it's about this archaeologist who ends up discovering Noah's Ark. And he excavates it and studies it and goes over the things he finds in there. Obviously, again, it's fiction because Noah's Ark still to this day has not been found. Nobody knows where it is. But I think it's really cool to find out, if somebody did find it, what would have happened, what they think it looks like. Even though we know what it looks like based on what the Bible says and what God says. But I thought it'd be really cool to read. And also, when I saw this at the Goodwill, it's an advanced reader's edition. So this is an edition that wasn't even released yet. So I was like, you know what, I'll give it a try. It seems pretty cool. Well, that's the art. This next book here is called Cuckoo Song by Frances Jardine. I am so sorry if I mispronounce it. But basically it's about a girl who, after a mysterious accident that happens to her, it leaves her sopping wet and things start to change in her world. She can't really remember what's going on. Her sister basically hates her. She used to have a journal and pages were stolen. She notices things, like when she goes to brush her hair, she sees green leaves. So I thought this would be a, you know, a nice suspense book. You see what the heck happened. And the cover is just really creepy, but it's cool at the same time. This book here is called Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon. And this was made into a movie. It's about a girl who's literally allergic to everything. She's literally held captive in her own home because she's allergic to everything. She can't even go outside. And then one day she notices a boy moves in next door who notices her, and they develop this friendship that turns into a romantic kind of relationship. So I thought that was pretty cool. I did see the movie a long time ago, so I figured I can go ahead and read the book and kind of compare it, and then probably watch the movie again later on. But, yep, everything, everything. This book here was based on a Hulu original series called Light as a Feather. And it's about this group of teenagers that they played this game. It's like a seance game. And however the person says you die during that game is how you actually die in real life. And they realize that, and they're trying to figure out a way to stop the game, to stop the next person from dying. And all of them from dying in that matter. So I mistakenly got this book. I was like, oh yeah, it's from the TV show. Awesome. Not realizing it does have seance and witchcraft in it. And I'm trying to stay away from that. Because I said I'm trying to strengthen my faith with God. And witches and seances and devils are a big no-no. So I might read it since I have it. I might not. I might just give it away to somebody, or I don't know. But that's this book. This next group of books, I have the first 3 of the series. It's a pretty big series. It's called the Gifted series. I've got book 1, book 2, and book 3. And it's basically 9 teenagers, 9 different secrets in ordinary middle school, with a few extraordinary exceptions. So I'll read the synopsis on the first book. It says, Amanda Beeson is Queen Bee at Meadowbrook Middle School. If you're not friends with Amanda, you're nobody. But one morning, gorgeous, popular Amanda looks in the mirror and sees a very different face staring back at her. The Queen Bee is about to get a taste of life in someone else's shoes. Amanda has a secret. She's gifted, and she's not the only one. So I like books like these. So I decided to give them a try, and I found all 3, the first 3 of the series. I don't really know how many more are in the series. I think maybe 2 more. I'm not entirely sure, but definitely on the top of my list to read. This next book here is Emily and the Home for Troubled Girls. I would consider this a middle grade story. It's basically about a girl. Emmy Edison was an ordinary girl, almost. If you didn't account for the fact that her parents were rich, her very best friend was a soccer player, and she could talk to rodents, and they talked back. She was very ordinary indeed, but she hadn't been that way for long. It was only a few weeks ago that Emmy and her friends, Ratty and Joe, got rid of the evil Miss Barmy, the nanny who had nearly ruined Emmy's life, not to mention the lives of a few other girls who went missing. Miss Barmy was now a rat. How much harm could she do? Lynn Jonelle has created a hilarious, inventive, and irresistibly rodent-friendly companion to Emmy and the incredible shrinking rat. Basically, Emmy's kind of like Dr. Dolittle, except she talks to roaches. So, and they talk back to her. I figured,